What's up everybody, it's me Retroman. This time we're going to be reviewing Sly 3 Honor Among Thieves. So yeah, without further ado, let's get on with the review and talk about the game. The story actually starts off near the end of the game, so it's kind of like a flashback sort of thing. So basically, like at the beginning, Sly's like, getting crushed by this guy and he's like, so, you probably are wondering how I got into this situation. Let me tell you, basically. And then it goes to the beginning, where you find out that Murray actually left the gang because he was very distraught about what he did to Bentley. And then, for the beginning of the game, it's just Sly and Bentley, actually. Which is an interesting dynamic. You eventually do get back Murray, and after you get Murray, then you're actually, like, searching for a gang. So you're not, like, going against specific bad guys or getting specific things now. Because now, you have to find members. So the main point of the game is to find members of the Gooper gang. Like, there's Penelope, Dimitri's actually one of them at one point, the Panda King. So two bad guys are in there, plus the Guru. And it's fun. It's fun going to these different worlds and trying to convince these people. Because either you're trying to impress them, or you're trying to help them with something. So there is a reason why you're doing it still, even though your main intention is not the thing you're doing. Whether people agree or disagree, I actually think the plot of Sly 3 is better than 2. And there's a main reason because of that. Because I feel like Sly 3 has a lot better character interactions. I guess not by much, but they have good character interactions in this. And I like the way they handled it in Sly 3. Especially between, like, Bentley, Sly, and Murray. I think with how 2 did a little better, they did really good with it. You can even feel the interaction with, like, some of the other characters, too. The villains, again, like the other games, have good reasons for what they're doing. Not good reasons, but they got, like, their own little petty reasons that make them want to do it. Like, there's an opera singer guy who's, like, he was a good opera singer, and then some new craze hit, so his popularity dived, and he created a, opera mafia, basically. So it's a reasoning for the bad stuff, which is good. I like that they give them a reason to do that. But basically, by the end of the game, once you get the gang, the story kicks off back at that final section, and, eventually you have to fight the, Dr. M guy, and he kind of kicks your ass, so, yeah. And then you get to the Cooper Vault, which is what Sly's trying to get there for. He wants to get the fortune that his family once had originally, so he does that, and then, yeah, it's basically the end of the game. Good story overall, it just felt like it ended a little too quickly. But I liked it, I think they handled it well. They especially handled Bentley's wheelchair thing well, too. With the story stuff out of the way, we might as well get on to the gameplay now. So Sly's moveset is very much the same, swinging your cane, jumping on stuff, doing regular jumps and all that. Same basic moveset. Murray is very similar too, punches, slam punch and all that. Pick up enemies just like 2. The big difference in the main cast gameplay-wise is Bentley. So Bentley is now in a wheelchair because of, previous events that happened in the second game. But it's interesting because it actually made his gameplay better, surprisingly. Because his wheelchair is, like, fixed up with a bunch of tech and all that. So he's actually more powerful than he was in 2. And I actually really like his moveset. He's got, like, a little jet booster for his jump. He's got, like, little gadgets that he's got on the wheelchair that he can use. And it's cool. I like the way they did that. They made it to where Bentley made good use of that, like, handicap that he got. So, the characters in this game also have a pretty good play style. Like, Penelope plays well with her gadgets and all that. The Panda King plays well with, like, his firework aiming and all that. The Guru's probably my favorite one, though. I like the way he captures enemies and all that. And they handled that really good. The only one I'm kind of mixed about is Dimitri. They really fucked his gameplay up, because it's like underwater missions. So you can imagine that's pretty bad. And it's especially bad when the controls are fucking inverted. Like, I don't know what Sucker Punch was on when they did that, but that was a really dumb mistake. And I don't think he plays well, sadly. Luckily, though, you only play as him twice in the game because you don't get Dimitri until near the end. There are also sections where you can play as Carmelita, but not as much as most of the other characters. She basically has like a third-person shooter kind of gameplay, and I think she plays really good. The apparitions are a lot more elaborate than 2 and very well done, I gotta say. I'm happy with what they did, and yeah, they all play well. They all have an interesting thing, especially with the larger amount of gang members and all that. And the missions in general just feel more fun. Like there's a lemonade drinking competition, Bentley sings opera. It's all fun. The level variety is a lot better than 2, even with the smaller amount of worlds, which is kind of disappointing that it had less. But they made use of it, and I'm pretty sure they're a little longer than the worlds in 2, so I guess that's kind of the payoff you got. So there's 5 main worlds, and then there's 1 final world. That also includes the beginning prologue, because they're both the same area. And I say the 1 final world because unlike 2, this game's final world isn't one you could just explore. It's kind of more so like 1, where once you go to the final level, you can only select the missions and all that. You can't just explore it, which would have been cool if they let you do, like, you know, like Sly or Bentley or Murray just being able to explore this crazy island. But I guess that would have been hard to do because, you know, they wanted to keep the, stress that Sly's in pain, he can't get up and all that for the first couple of missions, so that was probably their reasoning. I just wish they would have utilized the island a little better. Now, it isn't a big deal that it wasn't in the second one, but what they added in this one was pretty neat, as like a nice little extra, is now you can actually replay missions, which is really cool, because I was disappointed in the fact that you couldn't do that in 2, and the fact that in 3 they let you just replay the missions, it's good. Because I want to be able to experience it again. A lot of the operations and all that, especially, are really fun to redo. Waypoint marking is also back, and much easier to use than it was in 2, because in 2 you didn't have like this little ring thing that they actually added in the third one, which makes it a lot easier. The vehicles in this game are a lot better too. Instead of them being kind of stiff like they were in Sly 1, and 2 improved it a little bit as well, but this did it a lot better, with now the vehicles being a lot smoother, especially the boats and all that. The plane controlled pretty good. Lots of vehicles that work out pretty well, including, Penelope's vehicles that I previously mentioned before. ThiefNet's also back, and it has pretty much the same exact use as, ThiefNet from the second game. You buy stuff, you do things, you collect stuff, you bring it to ThiefNet. Same basic thing at the end of the day. This game has the best humor in the series, too. There are so many funny moments, like Bentley saying, "Your mother!" and all that. To the mugshot guy was hilarious, or the opera. And just tons of funny things that a lot of the characters do, and a lot of their dialogue has a lot of chemistry, too, which really adds to it. The boss fights in this game are basically the same as 2. You got the strategy, you gotta, hit them and all that. They got their patterns and all that. Some are a little more advanced, but for the most part, they keep the same theme. Murray punching enemy, Sly having to sneak around and hit an enemy kind of thing. So, that stuff is still intact for the most part. They sadly don't make much use of the extra characters with the open world and all that, because you can play as them in missions, of course, but that's really all you can do with them, sadly, and you can't really explore anything. Which is fine, I get it, because, like, the Cooper hideout was a bit too small, and it would have been hard to fit them all in. But they could have found some way. The music in this game is also really good. It's got a similar sound to the other 2, but there's something slightly different about it in a few of the tracks. Why don't you give a few a listen and you can notice the difference. Overall, I think Sly 3 is a very solid game, and I definitely recommend it to any fans of stealth platformers and the Sly series in general. With that being said, though, that'll be it for the video. Have yourselves a good one, and I'm out. Peace.